Welcome once again to another version of Let's Talk Music Richmond. I'm Bill McGee, your co-host with Charles Mann over there. And today we have a very special guest. He is James Saxsmo Gates, famous young musician here in Richmond.
You know, now let me cut in here. Those that came before him definitely cut the path for him. He did not have to learn this on his own. He had examples in front of him all of his life, but he chose to go down this path. Nobody pushed him down this path. And I can really call him a young man because he's much younger than I, but he chose this music path.
But he was a good ball player, but he didn't make the pros. He's a handsome young man. A Denzel Washington type. The one thing that he has done with all of those gifts is learn how to play that saxophone.
No doubt. Yes, Dr. James Gates, it's a pleasure to have you here. We have never introduced anybody that way before.
Let me tell you something, Charles, man. You know, I'm like a little kid right now. With you and Bill McGee. Oh my God, man! Look. If I started stumbling on my words, it's because, man, I have so much respect and so much love for both of y'all, man. Because it's a little kid looking through that little keyhole, man. It was something, man, that I've been doing a long time, still doing it now. You know, Bill, no, man. All the records is all credited to him, man. And, you know, I just like to tell the truth because he's, you know, Bill used to tell me. Remember when I was going to Virginia State and then I went to Berkeley. He said, Gates, man, you really need to go and take that other step, man. You know, go take that other step so you can protect yourself, man. And I just was not ready for that, man. I was, still, in Boston. Then I started playing with various people, man. So.
Now we're gonna get to all that.
Yeah, I want to get to all that.
We gotta get to all that. See, Charles, as we honor some of our band directors and everything else, one of my band directors told me about this dude right here when he was like just starting high school. He's like the same. One of the same. It's like when Clark Terry told me about Wynton Marsalis. When Marsalis was 12 years old. And Clark Terry told me, he said, man, there's a boy down in New Orleans that can play that classical and jazz equally well. He's going. Well, the teacher that I'm talking about here told me about the young boy on saxophone down there at John F. Kennedy High School in Richmond, Virginia, that's going to light it up. He said he's going to light it up now. He said everybody need to get ready because this young man going to light it up. And he was probably about in the 9th or 10th grade at the time. Who was your first music teacher and how did you get involved in music?
John Payton was my first teacher.
You started out with the top of the notch right there.
John Payton came over to Fairfield Elementary School in the 3rd grade and asked everybody who wanted to play an instrument. And and at that time I was playing the little recorder. You gonna play the saxophone? And Charles, I didn't even know that when I was born, he was in the room with Dad when I was born. And
my God.
And they decided then that they wanted me.
They decided then.
That's the story. And Dad said every night before he went to bed, he would play the saxophone to my mom's stomach. They wanted me to be a saxophone.
Your skill level is beyond just practice. Okay, let me tell you that first. You didn't just practice to get to be that good. That was inherited in the bloodline. That was instilled in your dreams before you knew you had a dream. That was the gods putting the footsteps in the sand for you to put your foot in thereafter.
That's right.
You were led that way.
Called.
Yeah. You still had to measure up. There were challenges along the way. Because anytime you took classes from Johnny Payton, that was not exactly easy. Okay. No. That was not the easiest thing to do. So he will put you to the test to see if you deserve to be there.
That's right. He sure did gave me some many tests. Look, we used to walk. He came with that El Dorado. the big long Eldorado,
Right.
and would pick us up right at the school and take us to John F. Kennedy and would scare us to death, man. I mean, he used to tell me all the time, said, son, I don't know what in the world I'm doing because your sound stink, but you have to keep practicing.
So you see, that's the kind of thing that either makes you put in or quit.
That's right.
So Johnny was the right teacher for you because see, Johnny taught me the meaning of the little black dots. Okay, I had dyslexia on everything I was reading, but when it came to the little black dots, I could see them straight in the line. You know what I mean? I could read a measure ahead on those things when I was in the 6th grade.
Where did Johnny Payton first teach you?
Elementary, Fairmount on 21st in T Street in Church Hill.
That's that old elementary school. That's an old folks' home now or something? Or
That's correct. That's correct. Well, see, I went to George Mason after that with Pop Williams in the 7th grade. And then the 8th grade, East End Junior High, I had Johnny Payton. And then 9th through 12th, I had, again, Pop Williams at Armstrong. So
who after that, Gates? Who came after that?
Joe Kennedy.
See, there you go.
Look out.
Let me explain something to you, man. You were destined to do the things that you do, whether you knew it or not.
Correct.
But his daddy was Boo Gates. We're gonna talk about that.
We're gonna talk about that.
and then you had Johnny Payton and Joe Kennedy. I mean, it's like, come on, man. It's like anybody from Richmond, Virginia. If you say that Boo Gates, Johnny Payton, and Joe Kennedy taught a brother.
If you only had one,
right,
you were lucky.
Right.
To have all three.
But that ain't it. It didn't even just stop with Joe Kennedy. Who else do you have after that? Back to Johnny Payton.
Back to Payton again, we got to Kennedy.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh.
Yeah, it was, and then, but I also found out, Charles, man, from what they told me, is that, you know, when I got in the 6th grade, Mr. Payton said, when you get to Joe, you're going to know every scale before you get there.
Right.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I knew all my major scales when I got to Mr. Kennedy in the 6th grade. In the 7th grade, he said, okay, now when I get you to get back to Mr. Payton again, then we're going to have you to be able to be prepared to make all district and all state in first chair.
Did you play any of the other woodwinds?
Not in high school. I didn't play none of it until I got to college.
Did you play tenor or just mostly alto in high school?
Mostly alto. He wanted me to play tenor, but Mr. Payton said, no, you know, you need to play that alto because, you know, Boo is Boo.
Johnny started me out on clarinet. And I think that came from my dad initially because he wouldn't buy me a saxophone. He told me the only way I was going to play sax, I was going to have to buy it myself after I finished high school, and I would have to play clarinet all the way through. What he didn't tell me was that once you learn the clarinet, you already know how to play saxophone, and you already know how to play flute. You don't know that when you're learning the clarinet initially. I kept saying, I want to play this little sissy thing, you know. So the first couple of years, I was just messing saying, no. But they were very insistent that I stayed on the clarinet.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing these oboes, the bassoons, and that's that. If it's got a reed on it, I can play it. And so sure enough, the fingerprint jumped over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that came because my dad was in the Army band for a little while, and all he played was alto sax.
Yeah.
And he said he messed up because he did not know how to play the clarinet.
Yeah.
The opportunities probably missed him because when you can double like that and you know, in the Army and everything else, you probably get promotions, opportunities.
And extra pay.
Right, extra money too, right. At John F. Kennedy High School, who were some of the other musicians with you in school there at the time?
Oh, in high school, we had Ernest Williams,
Pee Wee, Zebulon.
Bill, he could simply say he only know stars like himself.
Yeah, he could.
He could say that.
He could say that. Well, who are some of the other people that you played in school with?
Kenneth Christian, the bass player we had in school with us. We had Anthony Ingram. Oh my gosh.
But he was playing guitar at 12, 13 years old.
Yes, Lord, man.
Anthony Ingram, I snatched him when he was 15 and took him with me to Atlantic Records.
And there was a whole lot of times being in the band room, Mr. Payton, he would allow us, he'll allow me and Pee Wee and we'll get together and start to play. And he'll pull us out and say, okay, I need y'all to demonstrate. You better not mess up. He'll pay us some money. He said, okay, I'm going to pay y'all between $5 and $10 to play. Make sure y'all play this line right. But if you mess up, you got to give me my money back.
That sounds like Johnny.
Right. That's so good.
What's the first band that you played with?
First band I played was called Mark IV. Kenneth Christian, he played in it for a minute. And then we had a trombonist, pianist, his name was Arlo Allen. Arlo Allen, he went to John Marshall. But we had a lot of older people at that time. And Charles, let me tell you what took place. When I got in that band, they had to, pick me up from my mama house and then bring me back. But when they came to my mama house, Ma invited them in the house. And Mom said it told them just like this. If you F with my son, then you would not be able to walk home again.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you bring my son back.
You bring him up.
Exactly where you picked him up, exactly where you need to bring him back, and he needs to be back at a certain time. And then I got with me and Pee Wee, Ernest Williams. We started getting our own band together.
That's what he told. So here's a question I always never got to answer: what made you go to Virginia State University?
How I got to Virginia State, Mr. Ethan Pitts. Yeah, Mr. Ethan Pitts allowed me to play my saxophone on the baseball team. That allowed me to practice before I went to the practice field. Allowed me to practice on the field. Allowed me to be able to play my horn on the bus to the games. Allowed me to play the national anthem to every game, whether it was home or away. And
wait a minute, boy. Man, that's like a red carpet laid out for you the whole time.
That's right. He said he knew that saxophone, that was it for me. He said, well, you want to play baseball? Okay. Well, you practice before you come to the field, but bring your horn because we still need you to practice on the field with us, all the time. I didn't know my senior year, Mr. Pitts had taken a drive down to Virginia State and was talking to the chairman of music. He told him that you will give him a scholarship. We have a guy by the name of James Gates, but you will give him a scholarship. And when senior night came around, he presented me with my full scholarship to Virginia State University.
Yeah, okay. Let's say that you were lucky to be in that family line. You were lucky that your dad knew these folks. You were lucky that you had the right teacher. You were lucky that you had the opportunity to play at the opening of all these different games. You were lucky that folks let you practice in their house and let you practice on the baseball field. I mean, you were lucky. That ain't luck, bro. That's too much luck. That's called, it was destined to happen. Even though it were destined to happen, it would not have happened had you not been committed and able to accomplish those things that were laid out for you. You measured up. That's what happened. Every time you measured up, another flower blossomed and another door opened for you.
Yeah.
You did that.
Well,
you did that.
Charles, when it just so happens that when he came to Virginia State, the school was really, really doing some excellent things as far as music is concerned. The saxophone section at Virginia State was a little mentally ill. They were challenged. And I'm gonna tell you why. They thought that they were a band. So all 30 of them would get out of the stands, walk over to the opposing side of the field. James Gates had on one of these masks, like this old man Halloween mask.
Okay.
White mask with the long white hair down the head.
All right.
And the saxophones would stroll single file over to the other side of the field and stand in front of the opposing band and challenge them. And they would walk up to any band and challenge them. And 99% of the time, they turn around, walk back, and the other band would sit there as quiet as Like, I ain't messing with that.
All right, good.
Gates he had reached a certain point with all of these accolades and all this stuff they were doing that he was no longer being challenged at Virginia State. He and I had a talk, and he said, Bill, I'm thinking about going somewhere where I can be challenged a little bit. I'm thinking about going to Berkeley. And I want to know why Berkeley.
Well, okay, all right, Charles, this is how it happened. Because I grew up, man, and listening to, all of these bands, in particular, man, would come down to you and Bill, and then, Mr. Payton and Hugo Jackson and, so many other people, Tuscan Jazz. You be around those people all the time. And I read around that even when they had, Bass Carrington, I used to go to these people when they used to practice. I wanted to be anything but a good saxophonist. I wanted to do that.
Okay.
I started getting kind of scared that when I would go to my instructors, they would give me my homework and say, listen, you bring this homework back the next day. But Charles, I would finish the homework before I even leave to go to my next class.
Right. I'm with you.
And then I would go back to the instructor and go, okay, well, I'm finished. Can you give me
what else you got? That's right.
And they were like, well, let's see if we can talk about this later. Talk about what later? I just finished. Can you give me some more? And it wouldn't do it. So I got on the phone and said, Mom, I don't like this. We got to do something better than this. Now, that was one thing. Every Friday we had seminar. So I stayed on seminar, which means that, you have to play a different classical piece. Well, I like playing. So I played on seminar, a different piece of music every Friday. And then they said, well, you were Gates, you got to give somebody else a chance to play. Well, no, I'm not. Why do I need to give anybody a chance to play? I didn't come to Virginia State for nobody else but me. They want to play, they need to practice. Then the other thing is we get on the yard and catch and go, Gates, man, let's see if we can hang out. I'm like, man, we don't need to hang out. You got to play tomorrow. You don't even know the music. So I would go upstairs in the practice rooms. Now this is, we seem to be kind of crazy, but I would go to the practice room. I knew what time the janitors would leave. I would go back to my dorm room, get my pillow, and get me a blanket, and would walk back over to the practice room, wait until the janitors leave, hide behind the piano, and then practice all night. But that happened every night. I would practice.
Yeah.
So, I just got tired of nobody would practice, and then they wouldn't give me my homework. Then I went to the chairman, and the chairman said, okay, I didn't know, but the chairman got in contact with a representative from Berkeley for me to do, to see whether or not I want to go to Berkeley. All right. Then I was on seminar again. Being on seminar, now you probably can imagine this, Charles. At Virginia State, we had these big, long windows. And it was in April or something like that, April or March. And they opened the windows. When you're playing all of this classical stuff, supposedly you can't pick up the music if it fall off the music stand. You're supposed to know it. Well, this time the wind blew the music off the stand. I had a 4-piece movement. And, I went to one of my instructors went to go and pick up the music and told him, don't do it. Let me go close my eyes and let me just play all of these movements by memory. I just wanted to finish it. I didn't know that the representative was there. He witnessed it. Then I got called into the chairman's office, and then they presented me with my full scholarship to go to Berkeley. And then my private lesson instructor said, well, Berkeley doesn't give degrees. I'm like, man, I got a catalog right in front of me. What you mean they don't? I got to go for real, man. So I never paid to go. I went to Berkeley with full scholarship.
But this brother went to school and is an associate with all of the young top jazz musicians in the country.
Today. Right now. Yeah, the guys who are top today.
They top today. When you ask Jeff Lorber or you ask Alex Bouillon or you ask somebody else, if you say the name Saxsmo, they go, oh! James Genus, not only James, Omar Hakim, famous drummer, whatever. I mentioned, when I met Omar, I said, yeah, my boy is James Saxsmo. I mean, Terlin Carrington. You go Branford Marcellus, You go down the list of top names. So Gates, and not only that, but he's toured the world with some of these people. Even not recently, he toured the world with Billy Childs and Larry Carlton, or with Billy Childs. When Chris Bodie came to Richmond, he asked, or they allowed this young man to come on stage and play with Chris Bodie. For the record, you and I understand what his level is. I need him to do like our friend did some name dropping.
Yeah.
I saw the picture of him. Who was it that gave you your diploma when you graduated?
Oscar Peterson.
I saw Oscar Peterson give him his diploma, but then I also know that he played with Art Blakey.
Yeah.
And so tell us who you went to school with, and try to remember as many of them as possible.
All right.
Drop some names on them.
Okay. Of course, Branford Marcellus was the first person I met when I got to Berkeley. The first person.
Okay.
Then I had, Kevin Eubanks.
Yeah.
Then I had Omaha King. I had him.
Okay.
Watts. Plays drums. Then I had
Jeff Tane Watts.
Jeff Tane Watts.
When Marcellus,
Right.
number one drummer. Right.
Then Curtis Williams. He's still with Cool in the game right now.
Right.
All right. He's piano person. All right. Then we had his name is Tigger. And he plays with Earth, Wind, and Fire right now. He sings. He took Maurice White's spot.
Right.
They call him Tigger. Then we had, oh my God, man.
The Billies.
Yeah, Billy Kilson.
Yeah.
Billy Kilson, the drummer. Then we had Belly Bullock. We had him at Berkeley. Then we had Alex Bunyan.
Cyrus.
Then we had Cyrus Chestnut. It's a who.
A drummer, a female drummer.
Oh yeah, Turlin Carrington. Let me just tell you this right here. It was another guy by the name of Keith Robinson who played guitar with Earth, Wind, and Fire, and this guy was my roommate. What happened was, man, that at that time, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers was real big at that time, because my private lesson instructor was Bill Pierce, who was actually playing with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. Then I had Andy McGee, who was the first tenor saxophonist that was playing with the Buddy Rich Band. So I had him as my instructor, and I played with these guys as well. So with Bill Pierce said, well, look, Gates, you need to just come hang out with me. So I did. So I made my point that I wanted to play in Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers band. So my private lesson instructor gave me my first gig. And then here's the people that was on my first gig. Steve Teray, who is the trombonist that plays in tonight's band.
Right.
I had him. I had Walter Bishop Jr., who was the pianist that already was playing with Bird. I had Alan Dawson, who was the drummer that was already playing with Ella Fitzgerald. These are people who I had, and I had my private lesson instructor, Mr. Bill Pierce. So having those people on my first gig, when I got to get the gig, man, with Art Blakey, Walter Davis Jr., who was from Richmond,
right,
but he played with Bird at 13 and had their European tour. When the seat opened up, Kenny Garrett said, man, I can't do the gig, man. Y'all need to get a sub or get somebody who wanted to play the gig. I never had to audition. Walter Davis and Mark Whitfield, that's the other guitarist he went to school with.
Right.
Yeah. They called me and said, Gates, you got to call my mama. Miss Gates, you need to, your son's got the gig. I was on a Thursday night. Your son's got the gig. Let him know to be in New York at Sweet Basil. That's how I got the gig with Art Blakey. Then I got the gig, man, with Dizzy Gillespie. Played with Dizzy Gillespie's big band. Then, I had my first week at Berkeley, I went to go see Ella. I ain't had no money. I had no money at all. And I waited out in the rain, waiting for her to finish singing. She came out and she said, son, you've been waiting for me. I said, yes, ma'am. Why are you here? I said, because I wanted to see the great Ella Fitzgerald. She said, where you go to school at? Go to school at Berkeley. He said, well, since you're out here in this rain, I'm going to sing. I'm singing in the rain. She sung I'm singing in the rain to me. Just her and I. And she said, you got to make sure that you got to promise me right now that you're going to keep jazz alive. You got to promise me to that. Promise me. Tell me that now. You're a young lion. You got to say it to me because we all going to die soon. So I promised her that I was going to keep jazz alive.
Wow.
What a story, man. Let me tell you.
Wow. Here's my point, Charles. You and I have done a lot of things in the industry. All right. And played a lot of hit records, done a lot of different things. And a lot of people don't understand that we choose to be where we are, to do what we are, so that we can have a spiritual peace about ourselves.
Correct.
All right. Correct. So what I found out was that Gates was like you and I, to the point that he had been at the top of the mountain and had a chance to focus at the top of the mountain, but he chose to come back home because of family, because of his mother, because of his roots. And that, like myself, pushed him into education. So now I'm segueing and transitioning to the fact that he ended up doing some teaching things that it was a way to share his experience in music, like what I did coming off the road. And you would have been a fantastic teacher, Charles. Johnny Payton, Charles, used to always encourage us to get our master's because he knew that for us to be able to continue teaching at the college level and other levels, we had to have a master's degree. Whereas Brother Gates was able to get his master's in jazz studies from the University of North Carolina Central. Now he is the director of the Billy Taylor Jazz Studies program at Virginia State University. Thank you, Brother Gates.
Thank you, Brother Gates, for sure.
Man, Charles, man, again, man, the young cats, man, that grew up, listening. I'm one of them. Yeah, I'm one of the guys, man, that, I can't tell you how many times, man, young cats like myself, listening. Really seriously listening, going, dang, man, I want to do that. I want to do that. The same thing when it came down to the trust. I want to do that, man. Especially when y'all played in the Ebony Island Club. Oh, we had to be out in the back.
What was you doing in Ebony Island? You were too young to be in there.
I know, we had a little hole. Look at the little hole in this. But that's so I knew of
You're about 15, 16 years old.
And I knew of all of you. I just knew it, man. And so when I look at you, when I look at Bill, and then when I look at all of the instructors, like when we talking about John Payton, man, look, that was time because I told you I didn't know this story in terms of John Payton knowing that they wanted me to be a saxophonist.
Hey, Gates, thank you very much, man. We got to go. We may have to bring you back in sometime in the future, but thank you. And thank you, Charles, for Let's Talk Richmond. Let's talk music, Richmond, RVA. Let's just talk music.
Man, thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Love you guys.
Thank you, man. Thank you.